Welcome to Soul Steps with Dr. Ren. I'm your heart-to-heart walking companion. These short, soulful reflections come straight from my morning devotion walks. Think of it as a chat with your bestie that feeds your mind and spirit. Walk with me or just listen and get ready to feel uplifted, informed, and inspired. Good morning, friends. Happy Monday. Can you tell it's cold? I am wearing the clothes that I wear skiing today because it is 35 degrees, but with the wind it feels like 21. And I can say that I feel comfortable. I have my Instagram purchase of the intake nasal device on. I slept with it last night and thought it might help me on my walk. I also used something called Moxie. They have like this aromatherapy that you put in your nose. They have one called Breathe. So I put that in this morning. And I've been alternating breathing in my nose and my mouth. Earlier, I'm like a mile into my walk already. I had my mouth covered and was breathing into my nose, and now I'm breathing in my mouth because it's easier to get air in that way. So I have my wool socks on as well because my regular walking socks are like ankle socks, and I knew it was going to be cold this morning, and I heard the wind and I thought it was rain. I panicked for a moment, didn't realize it's not raining. So putting it in perspective, it is literally freezing cold. I'm not exaggerating today as per usual, but thank God that it is not raining. And thank God that I have a warm home to go to when I'm finished my walk. And there are places in the city that have warming stations set up. And I would recommend, if you live or work in the city, to find out where those warming stations are so that you can let people know, people that are unhoused. I was joking yesterday about my dad being homeless back Santa. You know, we talk about people that are unhoused. So that was like a total joke, y'all. But another great idea, if you're looking for a fun activity with your kids especially around the holidays, we did this one year and we might do it. I don't know, I don't drive around as much anymore, but we got these very thick socks and we filled them with toiletry items and things that you need when you're unhoused, like a dental kit, wet wipes. What else do we have in there? Something a treat to eat. I forget. Most of the stuff we got from the dollar store. Some lotion that smells nice. I think I might have put some Tylenol packets in there, maybe. And we wrote a note on the top of the sock. And sorry, you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm checking to make sure my son is awake because it's time for him to get up. I hope that the lights are accurate. Last time the lights were on in his bathroom, but he did not get up. It looks like he's up. Okay, train, where'd you go? Oh, we wrote a little note on the sock, and like a little love note, and then we would tie the top of the sock with the other sock, and we would keep these in the car. And there's this one exit off of the highway on our way home that a lot of people solicit at. and we would roll down the window and hand out a little packet of love. So that's a fun idea. You can pack it up with your kids and demonstrate to them. You could even put $5 in there. Let them treat themselves to a meal. So, I got to tell you this funny story. So a few days ago, we had a bunch of family at the house, and my youngest had his first day training with a basketball trainer, and my husband, we needed a needle, because if you're a sports mom or a sports dad, those needles that you use to blow up soccer balls, basketballs, they're impossible to keep track of. If anyone has a system of keeping track of these needles, you let me know. I'm thinking about making a special home for it, putting it in a special case, labeling it. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I have a case right now I'm thinking of. Going to label it, put it in a special place, and anyway, we couldn't find ours. So I sent my husband to Walmart. This is Saturday morning, and he comes back. I didn't check my phone. I realized he had called me, and he doesn't. He said they're out of needles, but he comes home with his bag, and it's filled with the most random things. It has a bottle of water. It has a bottle of tea. It has a chicken sandwich, a hot dog, and a bag of chips. And I was like, it's 8:30 in the morning. What's going on with my husband? He does like Lay's chips. Maybe he had a craving. But I had cooked breakfast. He didn't know I was cooking breakfast. But I was like, did he wake up hungry and wasn't sure that I was going to cook for all these people? Why would he do this? I was perplexed. Okay? Perplexed. This was Saturday. I was so engaged all day Saturday. I barely even spoke to my husband on Saturday. Bopping around my mom's party. Sunday comes. I'm looking at this bag by the microwave. I'm like, okay, he drank the tea. Water's still here. Chips still here. One of the sandwiches is gone. It's bizarre. Did he get it for someone else? I had a whole conversation in my mind. And finally, Sunday night, our house guests are gone. We finally get around to having conversations, talking about all kinds of things. And he tells me this story. About how he went to Walmart and somebody outside was asking for food. And he felt moved because they weren't asking for money. And he said, what do you like? And he said, just give me whatever. So he goes inside, tries to look for the needle, doesn't find it. And gets this packet of food. But he gets out, and the person's gone. So that's why he came home with that bag. It makes so much sense. But your girl was so confused. And it was hilarious. So, I told you I got a generous husband. He is sweet. He is kind. He is so caring. And I know the Lord knew that I needed someone like that to soften up all of my rough edges. And I will share this just for all eternity, in case my grandkids still have access to YouTube. I was in couples therapy last week, and at the end, therapist always says, what are you gonna take home from today? And it was one of those super emotional sessions. We're talking about deep family of origin issues, whatnot. And Keel gives his statement, and I say, what I'm taking away is that I am the perfect wife, because that's literally a quote that my husband said at one point in the session. And let me tell you, words of affirmation is my love language. And for our entire marriage, I have been begging this man to give me his words. And it's been a whole topic of debate. I've shared it before on one of these. I think this was in my pre-YouTube channel days, so it might be on Insta. When he said that, I felt like every cell in my body just had a little party. And he said later that he noticed the change in me when he said that. Now, I'm not saying he's got to say I'm perfect, but it was just so unexpected. So, all right, I have a word for you today. It's a good one. Now, I haven't read my newsletter yet because honestly, trying to keep my hands out for shortest amount of time possible, my right hand, out of my super warm glove. I'm so grateful that I made these gloves because they are going to get me through the winter time. These thrummed mittens. There's an Etsy artist that has the pattern. Wait until you get to the light to see them. They're so pretty. I'll stop for a minute. Can't stop for too long because my back is hurting. My back is very much not happy today. And I'm on a weight loss journey. And I'm like, okay, I'm down to a decent-ish weight. Still not at my healthiest status, but these pains should be getting better. In my low back, I normally wear a kind of a brace, which I'm not wearing today because I have so many layers, and I have like my thermal vest on underneath, which is like kind of like a sweat vest, so I didn't want to kind of overheat. But child, listen, it's back. I'm gonna have to do some serious stretching, and maybe I'm gonna break out my Shotki acupressure mat too. All right, so my word for today comes from my daily scripture reading, and I don't know which scripture inspired it, but I do know that Father Mike Schmidt, that's the Bible in a year that I'm doing this year. Next year, I'm doing the Bible recap. So if you want to come with me on that, we can start January 1 Bible recap, which I've heard such great things about. I'm going to really miss Father Mike, though, because he's been with me for a couple years now. I might have to find something else that he did because he's so funny. So funny. I feel like we're buddies. Anyway, so he was giving commentary about how, isn't it, sometimes it can be frustrating when you're dealing with the same thing over and over again. You've got your issue, your little issue, your little life's problem that you struggle with. And maybe it's lying. Maybe you just, tell these little white lies, and you just can't seem to, before you know it, you're out there embellishing, and it's just something that, when you get caught in it, you're all embarrassed, and, you're not sure why you do it, and that's your thing. Or maybe, let me pick something of mine. Yeah, maybe you're a hothead, and you just be talking out your mouth, not stopping to think about what you're saying, and you say things that you later regret, and it's just your thing. No matter how old you are, it's just something that you struggle with. Or let me pick another one of mine. I don't know, maybe you have a tendency towards being a slob, and cleaning up is just, you're not a clean freak. I got siblings that are total clean freaks, OCD level, not the clinical, the lay sense of the word, because OCD is a very serious condition, by the way. Sorry, I had to digress on that because I am a psychiatrist, and OCD is a very debilitating condition, and if you do have that, you need some good exposure therapy so that you can be in a safe space. And sometimes people with OCD go to the other extreme where they're actually in dirty surroundings. It's kind of counterintuitive. So I'm using it in the colloquial sense. There's also obsessive compulsive personality disorder, which in its milder forms just seems like a super organized person. You know, I got a little touch of that with my color-coded organizing systems and whatnot, but I have to put that on. It does not come natural to me. So, hey guys, look, I made it on time. The 15-minute mark. If you're a 15-minute warrior, doing whatever you're doing, stretching, congratulations, you're done. But, you know, hang on with me for a little bit because it's a good word. So, yeah, maybe you're just like me, and you know, it's not, you don't have that drive to clean up. So you kind of have to, like, you go through periods where things around you are like a whole hot mess and just ridiculous. And now you have to put all this energy into organizing. And that's your thing. You know, I got a little short list of things, but I'm just leave you with those 3 examples. And Father Mike was like, you know, thank God. And at first I was like, what do you mean, thank God? I got this like whole life problem that I keep repeating over and over again. Can't get it right. He was like, what if you had a different problem every day? He used like a sport coaching analogy, which I'm not going to do. But that was a good one. And he was like, thank God. We're reaching the hill now. Your girl's feeling this hill today. Probably because I have on all these clothes. You know, what if one day you had an issue with lying? Next day, you had an issue with eating too much. Next day, you got an issue with not being clean. And it's like a different thing you say. Well, now you toe up from the flow up, to use a military phrase. I can't even say it proper. It doesn't work when you say it proper. Toe up from the flow up. That's how you say it. Tore up from the floor up. It does not have the same ring to it. But yeah, now you toe up from the flow up. If you have all kinds of different issues every day. So it's better to just have your problem. Have your short list of problems. And you know, you ever wondered how astrology works? You know, all these systems built on astrology. Seems kind of wild that your date, time, place of birth would determine so many static aspects of how you're oriented. So interesting to me once you get over that is of the devil line of thinking that I was raised with. We couldn't even play cards in our house growing up, okay? So I'm a child of the 80s, backmasking. So many things could send you to hell. I'm telling you, I spent so much time just scared of going to hell until I was rebellious. You know, it's like the 80s were rough. But, yeah, astrology was definitely a no-no. It was a super no-no, which I now think is a little strange, given that who made the stars? Who made the stars? Okay, so God made the stars, and God is super specific. God is very particular. God does not do anything without intention. God is very intentional. So he placed, now, you know, it all happened with this cosmic boom, you know, or maybe the boom was Word of God. I think that. And, but these stars got placed in a very particular place, and the planets got placed in a very specific spot. And our little blue marble, Earth, that sustains life with all the unique and super rare environmental circumstances took place so that the Earth could exist. And then at a very particular place, at a specific time, at a unique location, you popped out of your birth mother's womb and you took your first breath. And all of the universe celebrated and marked the occasion. And the planets and the sun and the moon and the stars, they were all in a very specific location. And in the space of linearity, in the fabric of time, on the space-time continuum, there's a spot that only you occupy. So, I mean, doesn't it make sense that a particular God would make that matter? And I don't know how all of it works together, but it's not surprising to me that certain qualities, risk factors, protective factors, would be encoded into that unique environmental context. So I don't really find astrology to be super woo-woo anymore. I think we just don't understand scientifically yet. So, we've come a long way. We used to put leeches on people and bleed them out to make them better. Now we have more sophisticated treatments. We used to lock people up in the basement when we didn't understand why their minds had lost touch with reality. And now we have a whole host of neuromodulation treatments that can help restore a person to sanity. So, man, I really went off the rails on that one. Okay, let me go back to my main point, which is be thankful for your issues. When Jesus was on his way to Calvary with that cross digging into his shoulder, every day that I do Liturgy of the Hours, one of those prayers is a prayer for the wounded shoulder of Jesus. I got to remember the story behind that one, but something so intimate about that prayer. And on his way there, Jesus said, "Take up your cross and follow me." I feel like, I don't know if he said it at that time or something I was reading yesterday. Maybe it was like explanation of a rosary. I was doing the sorrowful mysteries yesterday, trying to really figure out how to actually meditate. I was missing some descriptive aspects of the rosary, and it's very helpful when you've got access to like the full scripting of what scriptures you're supposed to reflect upon. Super helpful. So it's not just repeating a Hail Mary or an Our Father like a little magical spell. That is not the nature of praying the rosary. So, but take up your cross and follow me, is like I always would say to people, I'll take my cross, because even though what you're going through might be really tough, like, would I have wished to not have so much loss in my life? Yes, I would. I would have preferred to be able to call my papa right now. I would have preferred for my dad to see my son Isaiah doing so well in basketball. I would have much preferred that. But that was not what the Lord has for me. But I'm going to take up my cross because, I don't know, other people's cross I might not be able to bear. And so my Facebook friend, Jeanette, I met her and her mother in Orlando in 2022, and we were just at the pool chatting it up, and nice family, and we stay connected on Facebook. And even though we don't have the same political ideologies, you know, it's good when you meet somebody as a human, because then I was able to remind myself that, like, okay, a lot of the stuff I'm seeing I definitely don't agree with, but I remember who they were as a person, so I can still stay connected here and connect on our common shared values. Well, her mom passed yesterday afternoon, and I had been fasting and praying as the family had put together a prayer circle. She went on to be with the Lord. And also yesterday I did get a chance to visit my other Facebook friend, who I actually had never met. We were in like a physician group together, and she was posting about her mother who was on hospice, and she was returning to her childhood home to be at her mother's bedside, and got to the house, and nobody answered the door, and so she said it was an open door. I walked in, and music was playing, so I just walked towards where I heard the music coming from, and she was having a moment on the sofa, just overwhelmed. She was in the midst of, preparing her mother's memorial program, and had just written her poem. And, again, not knowing her, she was apologizing. I was like, child, I know exactly what that is, like that going back and forth between, the practical and the profound. So it was such a beautiful time with her. But, I'm going through what I'm going through with my mom. That's my cross. It's one of my crosses. But at the same time, look at how God is using that to minister to others and to minister to myself. It's beautiful. So whatever your vice is or your challenge in life, as I close, because I can no longer feel my fingertips, so we are definitely going to wrap this one up. But whatever is your vice, just, be thankful that you've got your thing. Continue to work on it. Continue to get better over time. But don't wish for anything else. Don't wish it away, because you don't know what else you could have had. Instead, be thankful for your journey. Be thankful for your unique struggle. All right, guys, I hope that you stay warm today. And even though it's cold outside, remember to move your body with love and intention today. And as always, remember that I love you. Bye.